Hey everyone. So today we're diving into Zazen, or seated meditation. But this is about so much more than just relaxing or clearing your head for a few minutes. This is a practice with incredibly deep historical roots, and it was actually developed to answer a question I think pretty much every single one of us asks at some point.
And yeah, that's the big one, isn't it? Why is there so much suffering? It's just a fundamental part of being human. And the entire story of Zazen, where it comes from, it all starts with one man's relentless quest to find a real, practical solution to that exact problem.
So, our story kicks off about 2,500 years ago. There was this prince, Siddhartha Gautama, who basically had it all, a life of complete luxury. But he left all of it behind because he was completely obsessed with understanding why people suffer and finding a way to actually end it.
Now, his quest wasn't just some abstract philosophical thing. Oh no, it was completely experimental. He treated the problem of suffering like a scientist, using his own body and mind as the laboratory to see what really worked. His first big idea was that to free the mind, he had to completely conquer the body. And his first attempts were, well, they were pretty extreme.
He just dove headfirst into the most severe practices you could imagine, what's known as asceticism. He truly believed that by punishing his body, he could somehow liberate his mind. He starved himself, held his breath until he was in agony. He pushed his body to the absolute breaking point. And as you can see from this quote, it was pure torture. But it wasn't getting him any closer to enlightenment.
So after years of this, of just brutal self-mortification, he had a massive realization. This wasn't the way. It just wasn't working. By torturing his body, he was only creating more suffering, which just clouded his mind even further. He wasn't getting any answers. So he abandoned that path completely, and that decision led to his greatest breakthrough.
Right. So this rejection of extremes is what led him to the answer. If a life of pure indulgence was one dead end, and punishing the body was another dead end, well then the true path had to be somewhere in between, right?
And this became known as the middle way. But don't think of it as just a compromise. It's about finding this incredibly powerful state of balance. The idea is, by nourishing the body instead of punishing it, and by calming the mind instead of letting it run wild, that's where you create the space for real clarity to finally show up.
The formal term for this is Chudo. And it's really important to get that this isn't just some nice philosophical idea, it's a practical method. It's the very foundation that leads right into the physical and mental practice we're here to talk about, Zazen.
So, okay, that's the theory. But how do you actually walk this middle way? How do you take this big idea of balance and put it into practice in your own life? Well, that is exactly where Zazen comes in.
Zazen literally just means seated meditation. Simple as that. It's the absolute core discipline of Zen. It is the simple but profound act of sitting still, quieting your body, and training your mind to be focused and stable. You can say it's the middle way in action.
And you really can't overstate how central this practice became. I mean, for Zen masters like Dogen, who founded the Soto school in Japan, Zazen wasn't just one tool in the toolbox, it was the tool. As he puts it right here, there's no other way. This incredible, single-minded focus on just sitting is really what defines the whole Zen tradition.
Okay, so you sit down, you're in position. But then what, right? Where are you supposed to put your mind to keep it from just wandering off everywhere? Well, to solve that problem, Buddhism provides this incredibly detailed toolkit, kind of a user's manual for your own mind.
Yeah, there's this amazing ancient text called the Visuddhimagga, which means the path of purification. And it lays out 40 different objects you can focus on in meditation. You can think of them as triggers or anchors for your attention. And the idea isn't that you have to master all 40 of them, not at all. It's more of a recognition that we're all different, and this list provides a ton of different tools to suit any kind of personality or mood.
And just look at the range of options here. It's kind of wild. You've got visualizations like the fulfillments, where you just fill your mind with the idea of earth or water. Then you have these more intense analytical things, like contemplating impurities, to really understand that nothing lasts forever. And then there are recollections, where you focus on the qualities of the Buddha to get inspired.
But look, you don't have to start with something that complicated. For most people, especially when they're just starting out, the list offers a super simple and accessible entry point. It's actually number 29 on the full list, just focusing on your own breath. You don't need any special equipment, no complex ideas. You just pay attention to the feeling of air coming in and going out of your body.
And just to show you the variety here, another popular method is recollection. So with this one, you bring to mind the qualities of an enlightened teacher, like the Buddha, their wisdom, their compassion, their total calm, and you use that idea as the anchor for your attention. So the tools literally range from something as physical as your own breath to something as abstract as the idea of wisdom itself.
So we've got the method, sitting, and we've got the tools to help focus the mind. But what's the point of it all? What's the ultimate goal here? This is where Zen has a very specific aim that really makes it stand out from other types of Buddhist meditation. This slide shows a really fascinating contrast in strategy. In Zen, the way out of suffering is through subtraction. It's about discarding, letting go of all the attachments and desires that cause us pain so you can arrive at a state of emptiness, or mu. But in esoteric Buddhism, or Mikyo, the goal is almost the opposite. It's to make burn, to amplify your inner energy and wisdom to overcome suffering with power.
This brings us to a huge misconception about this idea of emptiness. The goal of Zazen is not to stop thinking or to have a perfectly blank mind. I mean, that's pretty much impossible. The real goal is to change your relationship with your thoughts. It's like, imagine you're sitting on the bank of a river, and your thoughts are just leaves floating by. You just watch them drift past without jumping into the water and chasing after every single one. That detachment, that is the real meaning of emptiness, or ku.
And that brings us to our final, and honestly, maybe the most important point of all. Zen isn't about reaching some magical destination called enlightenment, and then, poof, you're done.
This really gets to the absolute heart of the Zen mindset. It's a path of doing, not just knowing. The Master Dogen would say that the practice is the enlightenment. From this point of view, you could read every book ever written on the topic, but it would be less valuable than the simple, humble act of just sitting, consistently, day after day.
When you boil it all down, Zazen is basically a form of daily mental training. It's like going to the gym for your mind. It's a way to tune the instrument of your own awareness so you can see yourself and the world with way less distortion, with more clarity and with a deep sense of calm, no matter what's going on around you.
And that leads us to the final question we want to leave you with. The Buddha's whole journey started with a question. The practice of Zazen suggests that the answers we're looking for aren't found out there in books or complicated theories. They're found in stillness. So the question is, by just sitting quietly, what might you come to see?